This morning we're talking about a cultural society here in Vienna. It's called Wegather, and this culture verein, this cultural society, is all about activities on a more intellectual level, we could say that. Petra Novak runs this society. Petra, a very warm welcome to you.
Thank you very much.
Petra, Wegather, where did this name come from, Wegather?
I guess it comes from what we are doing, because this is what we want to do. We want to gather, to meet different people, get to know each other, get to know the city that we live in, Vienna. And so Wegather made sense in that context.
So we gather people together, and it's a great place for making friends, I would imagine. Petra, very briefly, can you give us an idea of what you offer in Wegather?
Yes, sure. So we have different projects or different things that we do together. We started out with with going to different cultural places. For example, to museums, to concerts and these kind of things, because for several reasons it's a good way to meet each other. We have time to talk to each other, to get to know each other, but also it's something that you might not want to do alone. And maybe you don't have people to go there with you, and also sometimes you want to go to a museum. Vienna is full of interesting historical places, but oftentimes you think like, I want to go there one day, and one day never comes. So it's a good idea approach to go to one place a month, to have like a fixed day or a fixed group to go together with, so you don't have to concentrate on when am I going, where am I going. It's all done for you. All you have to do is to come.
And of course, when you go to a theatre together, to an opera, you've got plenty to talk about afterwards. How does this work in your discussion rounds, I think? Kulturabends.
Yes, so the Kulturabend is when we go to like events in the evenings, for example, an opera or a concert or a theatre play. So afterwards, oftentimes we sit together, talk about what we've seen, what we've experienced, and the same for the trips, like the cultural trips, when we go to, let's say, the countryside to see what they have to offer on a cultural level. There's plenty of time to talk to each other, and we also encourage people from different countries to join. So it's always nice to see in a different place. For example, we went to Canuntum, the Roman excavations. So it's very interesting to see how the Romans did it, how we do it today, and how maybe we do it in different countries, or how we live in different countries.
How many nationalities are sort of represented in your society?
It's really varying, because there's people who come like a few times, there's people who come regularly, so it's hard to say. And then we also have some people who are not from Vienna. Would you include them into not being? There's already some differences sometimes in terms of culture.
Well, what languages do you use mainly in your events? Mainly
German, because many people who live here, they do want to speak German. Even if they are still learning, they want to speak German. And it sounds strange, but oftentimes they don't have the chance to speak much German, because they are staying within their family, within their friends, and it's not always easy to find someone who is willing to talk to a stranger in German.
In your program you have German courses. Tell us a little bit about them.
Yes, so these are online classes for anyone who wants to learn German. I'm a German teacher myself, so this fits in quite well. But we also have the language cafe, which is once a month, and there we have several languages.
Tell us about this language cafe.
Yeah, so it's online, therefore, which gives us the advantage to have actual native speakers as well who are sitting in their countries and participating. And so far it's 4 languages. It's German, of course, English, Spanish, and Arabic.
Arabic?
Yes.
Okay. And is this all at the same time? Everybody's speaking their own language and it's coming across?
It depends on how many people there are. Sometimes we stay in one group together and it's a little bit of German, a little bit of English, because these are the languages that most people, I would say, are familiar with. Otherwise, so it's online, so it's quite easy to open different rooms and let's say, okay, let's do half an hour of English and then we go to half an hour of Arabic and have different groups, basically.
You say this cafe is online. Have you got plans to have it live in a real coffee somehow?
In the future, yes, for sure. But we also hope or have the opportunity for the people who meet online in a language cafe to come to one of the other events and meet there and talk. But yeah, for sure, to have it to meet the people in real life would be nice. So far, however, there's quite some people also not living in Vienna. So I think it's a nice way for all kind of people to join, no matter where you are.
Okay, and what sort of topics do you discuss in this online cafe?
Well, I usually prepare something of what we could discuss, and mostly we don't get there. Like we talk about, people introduce themselves, we start with one question that leads to another, so we really speak about what interests people, what they want to speak about, and comparing different experiences. I hope one day we can discuss what I actually prepare.
Yeah, I mean, you prepare a topic,
of
I
course.
would imagine.
Yes.
And then it goes in every direction you can imagine.
Right, and that's something I cannot do in my class when I teach German, because we have to go through the grammar, do this, do that. But the fun thing here is that it's just about talking, and it can lead you anywhere.
Sure, and it's a really good way of getting to know people in a different kind of way.
Right. I believe that meeting people in a more natural way, because you just talk to them about whatever comes to your mind, whatever is important for you right now, maybe. And I think it's a good and natural way to meet people.
A good natural way. Leading these discussion rounds, cafe, you must be a very good listener. Why is listening so important in getting to know people? Well,
I need to talk to them about what they are interested in, not what interests me so much. There might be, we might have some things in common, but for sure there will be things that we do not have in common. So it's important for me to ask questions and to have them talk. Like my German, I'm from Vienna, my German is pretty good, I'd say. So it's no need for me to talk so much. They want to improve their language.
And they want to talk about themselves, maybe.
For sure, yes.
And you know yourself. It's a win-win situation, isn't it?
I believe so, yes.
Very good. On your little brochure, you've mentioned your podcast, and it's
right.
about people living in different parts of the world. And tell us more about this podcast and what you've got planned for it.
Sure. So it's going to start in September, this podcast, and we are having or making interviews with different kinds of people. As you said, maybe they live abroad, maybe they live here in Austria but come from a different country, or maybe they're plainly just from Austria. That's the main thing. Is we want them to talk about their lives, how they see different cultures, how they view life in Austria maybe, and their perspective on things, really.
What is the average age of people in your society? Is it young, old, or everybody?
We invite everybody to come. So far there is people starting from, I'd say, 30, 35 to grandmothers, grandparents, really, which is quite nice to see how also this older generation is now joining in the online language cafe, for example, because they're, you would think they have like this fear of going with the technical equipment online and stuff, but really there is ways of dealing with it, and it's very interesting for them also to have an exchange with the younger generation, to see different views, and for us to hear what they have to say.
Back to the podcast, it means by getting to know all of these people on your online cafe, you're getting to hear many different stories. For your podcast, everybody has a story, I would imagine. So tell me how you experience this.
Well, definitely. I mean, especially people who come here from different countries. I'm very interested to hear, why did they come here? How do they experience Austria, where I was born, which I know pretty well. And maybe it's also from my personal background, because I've been living abroad for 8 years, which was a very interesting experience for me. So I got to know a different country very well. And coming back to Austria was a whole different story. So I feel like I want to understand how other people experience this.
Tell me, you say you lived in another country for 8 years. Tell us a bit about this. Which country was it?
Well, I lived in Egypt.
Egypt?
Mostly Cairo, but also Alexandria.
What took you to Egypt? If you can tell us this, I don't know.
Well, sure. It was just that after finishing my studies, I thought I would like to go abroad for a year or so, because once you start working and you get into the routine, you won't do it. So I ended up taking a practicum.
A training, a practicum.
Training,
yeah.
Yes, in Cairo, in a German company there. And it was supposed to be for 3 months. But I just enjoyed life there, and it was really interesting to be there, so I decided to stay for a year. Starting new projects, starting a new job, it went on to be 8 years.
Tell me something, you mentioned projects. What kind of projects were these in Egypt for this German company?
Well, for the German company, it was just a brief thing of 3 months. Later on, I went to work for an Egyptian culture center, actually, where I was dealing with events, especially if they were with foreign agents, like the Goethe Institute or the Austrian Cultural Forum, or all these places. Whenever they had an event at our culture center, I would be the contact person.
Okay, so you had this great job, it sounds, helping organising these events.
Exactly.
All in common, they all had German language in common.
That one was actually mainly in English.
In English?
Yes.
So how important is English when you're living abroad?
Very important. It was the main language for me for 8 years. I did learn Arabic, but it takes a while till you're actually able to speak to people. So English was my working language and my private language as well.
What sort of person should one be to assimilate quickly, get into life? And how did you find it? Because Egypt is completely different from Europe.
It is,
Tell us a bit about this.
About how I adapted?
Yeah.
Okay. So for me, I think what helped me a lot is that in the first few months, I was like saying yes whenever I was asked something. Do you want to go there? Yes. Would you like to join? Yes. So this helps a lot in getting to know people, in getting to know places. And maybe that's also it was very easy to meet people there. They are very friendly and, oh, you're new in the country, let me show you this. I will take you to the pyramids. I will take you to I don't know where. So they're very friendly and very interested in showing you around and getting to know you. which made life easier.
Did you make many Egyptian friends?
Very many, yes.
And you still got them?
Yes. They are part of the language cafe, for example, for the Arabic, English section. Because, of course, the people that I was dealing with mostly, they speak perfect English. They went to English schools, American schools. So I improved my English there, actually.
You speak very good English. Tell me something. Your stay in Egypt, you were there for 8 years, and you got to know many people, and they were very nice to you. Was this one of the experiences, maybe, that gave you the idea for your society?
For sure, yes. I think it was when I came back to Austria that I noticed that quite many of my friends had left. I didn't know so many people here in Austria, and it was not so easy to meet new people, because not that they are unfriendly or something, but they have their friend groups, they have their rhythm, the things that they are doing. So it was not so easy to get to know people more. And I figured that the best way to do this here is through a Verein, through a society, maybe sports or whatever. So for me, it's more of my main focus is more on the cultural hobbies.
On the cultural side of life, maybe.
Yes.
Yeah. How do people get to know you? Because your Verein, your society, is the perfect place for people new in Vienna who don't know anybody.
Yes.
How do you get your message across?
Well, we're dealing online quite a lot, but we're also going now to different events to meet new people. We are speaking to other NGOs or other Vereine to see whether we can do something in common and maybe use their rooms or talk to their members or participants of maybe having a cooperation with them.
On your programme, you've got a cooking section,
yes.
Cooking events. How popular are these? Isn't this a great way of getting to know different food from all over the world?
I believe so. Actually, those are also starting in September. So in September, there's quite a lot of new things happening. And we are right now looking for people who are interested to cook, because the idea of the cooking meetings is that we want to learn about new dishes from all different kinds of countries. So if someone would like to share their favorite meal from their own country, that would be amazing. We are still connecting. We quite have some ideas already about.
But of course, this must be held somewhere where you can actually cook and sit down together. And people will bring people, probably.
Yes.
And this is a great way, because food connects somehow, doesn't it? Tell me what you think of this.
I mean, food definitely connects people, and it just gives you a starting point to get talking about what you like, what you don't like, what you cook, what you don't cook, about secret ingredients or whatever. So it's just a wonderful way of getting people to talk to each other and losing this fear of, I don't know them, I don't know what to say. I think the main about people, bringing people together and understanding different people, understanding different cultures. My focus here is to meet people. But then you have to have this natural way of actually talking to each other. Obviously, if you have like a seminar and you stand there and in the Arabic countries we have this and that, it has its value. But people want to meet people. And that's the best way of learning, of seeing it through your own eyes, basically. And not all of us have the chance to live abroad for 8 years.
Yeah, excuse me. That would be my next question. Are you staying in Vienna forever now, or are you going abroad again? Or
the plan is to stay here.
Okay.
Yes, I've been abroad for 8 years, and it was a wonderful time. However, coming back was not so easy, and I wouldn't want to do that like several times. I think Vienna has its values, and I'm happy to be here now. So, working on the Verein and I'm going to stay.
Sounds really incredible. One more question. You've got cooking, you've got culture cafe, you've got all of these things. Music is very important for you as well. Tell us a little bit about this.
All right, so I've been working in a cultural center where there was a lot of music events happening and going on. So what we are doing is we're bringing musicians from abroad or who live not too far maybe to Vienna to have concerts here and to get to know, to be known here more. And the first one is going to be a good friend of mine who is doing Arabic music, Arabic traditional music, and he's gonna be playing here within 2023, so till the end of the year. And the other point is that we are also on our website and through our social media channels are going to put up some new ideas for artists, bands from abroad, not just the big names, but every country has like their niches and their popular bands that are only known in the country.
Sort of like Volksmusik or that sort of thing.
Yeah, but
ungefähr.
But also like very modern things, not necessarily the traditional things, but there's so many modern bands with modern music. And the beautiful thing about music is you do not need to understand the language.
You're quite right. Just come back to this Egyptian man, a friend of yours. Well, what's his name?
His name is Islam El-Shari.
Islam Ashari,
Yes.
and Islam Ashari is coming to Vienna to sing.
And he's playing the Afghan rubab.
The Afghan rubab, what is that?
That's an instrument like with
Is it strings?
with strings. Thank you, and it's an old traditional instrument that he's playing.
Brilliant. Your society is very, very interesting.
Thank you.
Let's have a website, shall we?
Yes, sure.
It's www.wegather. That's Walter, Edward, Georg, Anton, Theodor, Heinrich, Edward, Richard .rt.
That's right.
That's
yes.
right. And it's pronounced Wegather, not Wegather. If you're speaking German, and it's a very interesting name, it brings people together. That's great. And everybody can get all of this information there. And it will be, I'll put it on my website, talk49.co, so you can listen to this interview there as well. Petra Novak, one last question. Everything has a beginning. You came back from Egypt, and what happened? You thought, wow, I must start this society. Just tell us a little bit about this and how you got going.
Mm-hmm. Well, it started when I came back, not immediately, but as I worked in a cultural field before, I wanted to continue working in this field, and I started to meet a lot of people in Austria working in culture, and this is kind of where it all started. To think of, there's a lot of things for a certain group of people. There's a lot for refugees, there's a lot for women, there's a lot for people who love the opera. But for me, I wanted something that combines it. Like, all these projects are great and they're needed and they're wonderful, but for me it was a bit restricted. I wanted something where different people meet.
So diversity maybe is a very big point on your program. Tell us just a little bit why this is so important.
I think it emerges from meeting people from different cultures. We all have in our mind these stereotypes, which are a way of dealing with life. I understand that we have them, and maybe we should reconsider them. And the easiest way is to actually speak to people. And especially me, having lived in Egypt for such a long time, having a lot of friends who are Arabs, which it's sometimes difficult for them to meet new people because they're Arabs. And I had a completely different experience there. So my stereotypes are very different of everybody else's. And there's a lot of people who would say things like, oh, these Arabs, they are so and so, but not Mohammed from work. He is different. And that's exactly the situation that I want to have in this Kulturverein, in Wegather, that there's not just Mohammed, there is Sarah and Magda and I don't know who, and you meet so many different people, and they're all different. It's not like this stereotype that you have in your mind.
So your Verein, in a way, is ironing out the prejudices, opening eyes, opening ears, and opening hearts. Petra, is there something we've forgotten that's very important, do you think? We more or less covered your programme, or a little bit covered it. The best thing is for people to check your website.
For sure, yes.
And go on it and see what's happening. Just very briefly, are there any big events this summer?
Well, we're continuing even in summer with the language cafe, and maybe something we didn't mention is the literature cafe.
Tell us about this, please.
We every 3 months we meet also online for a literature cafe, but that one's going to be in German because we cannot separate that into different languages. We choose a country that we read literature from or literature about. 3 books, and then we discuss. But 3 books is quite a lot. Even if you don't manage all 3 of them, you're still welcome to join. And yeah, the next one is in September about Greece.
Greece, and what book should one read or must one read to join in with this?
Yeah, the books are online, and I can tell you one is Alexis Sorbas, because it's like the name when you think of Greek books. We decided not to go for the Homer, it's a bit too difficult, but that's one of them. And
doesn't matter, we'll
online.
Just go online and check it out and we'll find it. Very briefly, what are your plans for the summer? Are you going on holiday? Are you going to Greece, or are you going to
No,
Egypt,
unfortunately not. I'll be going to Germany for a few days to improve my German, maybe.
Well, maybe that's a good idea because you're Viennese. Anyway, Petra Novak, thank you very much, and please check this society out online. Wegather. Petra Novak, vielen herzlichen Dank.
Dankeschön.
Danke.
Danke.